Okay, we started over for open discussion hour. I'll upload both videos. My computer ran out of space, so we were talking about Zookt and Wikiblobs, and I asked about the sharding strategy, if that would have to change.
Because wikis can be at the group level as well.
I think the only thing to think about that Dimitri shouted out a little bit is that we'll have non-technical users that'll want to search wikis as we have today, and then like developers may want to search in Zookt, which is fine. I don't necessarily care if we have both ways to do it. I worry a little bit that people might get confused about wikis being in the repo of a project when they're not actually, right? Like a wiki for GitLab is not actually part of the GitLab project repository, right? It's a separate repo, I think.
Yeah, I think we will need to use Zookt within the wiki's scope. So not as just repository code search results.
Right.
But we could shard it as under a project, right? And just add more metadata that would filter it out.
I don't know. I feel like when you have two master branches, that might create some issues. Like, I think it might, I don't know. I feel like that's going to cause some issues with Zookt.
Right now we have Zookt repository. Maybe we can add Zookt wiki repository or something.
Yeah, as the file name. Can we do a different directory? I can't remember, Dimitri. Could we do that? Like just have a different directory of Zookt files?
We would need to have another web server process though. So I think it has to be in the same directory.
I mean, I
Would
think
it make sense?
Oh, go ahead, John. Sorry.
I was just, I'm on my first cup of coffee, so this might not be a good idea. But would it make sense to have a Zookt process that's dedicated for Wikiblobs, like a wiki Zookt?
Maybe it's too much overhead for very little gain. I think it might be better if we change the ID somehow. Maybe it should be project ID underscore wiki. Maybe that's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so that it goes into a different folder within the.
Well, not even a folder.
It's
file.
gonna be the same.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be fine.
But wouldn't that? I see the reason why I suggested that though, Dimitri, is like I'm worried about search results for global search or something like or a namespace search. Wouldn't it show up like that? Like we need like if we're searching for it, like all code search within a namespace, we would want to make sure we don't have wiki stuff. Or
So
would
right
we?
now
Maybe that's a feature.
We send an array of project IDs. So I think we won't get wikis back.
Oh, so we're doing a project. I thought we were trying
change it to something more advanced.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're set up to we're not gonna like pigeonhole us. But I guess we could always iterate in the future.
And Dimitri, how you handle the group level wikis because they don't have projects?
That's a good question. Maybe it could be group ID underscore project ID underscore wiki. Doesn't really matter. We need to somehow distinguish wikis from just regular repositories.
Yeah, as long as we're set up for success for namespace search.
I guess,
we don't get stuck like including wiki blobs and group search.
Addition, enhancement.
Dimitri, we want to get out of passing an array of project IDs at some point, right?
Yeah, we want to filter by maybe traversal IDs and exclude projects we don't have access to. So maybe another field like that can be kind of type blobs or blob and wiki blob, so that we can also filter the results with these fields.
I think it's probably a good first iteration to just have a different name. Well, you know, we could probably just cross the bridge when we get to it. I'm just worried we're going to be like, you know, 6 months down the road, we're going to be in this, in a bunch of pain trying to filter out wiki blobs, and like search is just different for wiki blobs. And we're going to have to invest a bunch into filtering out wiki blobs when we don't want it.
That's true. Maybe it's just not our priority at the moment. We should focus
Yeah.
on large namespaces, huge self-managed customers, and maybe keep wikis in mind so that we can maybe enable it later.
Yeah.
Could we put, what if we put them on dedicated shards, or a dedicated replicas or something like that? Like a higher level of abstraction, maybe in Ruby world, that we could there be a wiki replica?
Not sure. For Zook, I think everything is a repository.
So I guess
But-
I want to just look at like the person's problem is they want to use regular expressions and ors. But like wikis contain like words. It's not code. So I wonder if maybe an alternative might be to explore if Elastic could be changed easier to deal with it. I don't know. I mean, you know, we're pulling Zooked in because it's code and the regular expression stuff works better there. Before we like do a ton of work for Zooked, is Elastic an option for this? I mean, it should be words. I don't know. Maybe there's wiki that has like code blobs in it.
I believe that Ben has asked if they use advanced search. So maybe we should wait for their answer.
Okay. Yeah, but I think the idea to keep this in mind while we're working on things, this may be a future feature addition.
I think, yeah, I mean, I think when Dimitri and I talked yesterday, I can understand why developers might want regular expression search. I think for non-technical users, Elasticsearch will be able to do, especially with like semantic search, probably cover even better than what we can do with Elastic by default in terms of like the problem Dimitri is stating here, where like you don't know the exact phrase. You know, with embeddings, it'll be able to theoretically give us a better mix of results with keywords plus, you know, concepts or contextual meaning. But I just don't know how often developers specifically are going to search. Like normally, I think it would make sense. My main concern is that there's going to be a hard like people won't be aware that they need to search outside of their repository for the documentation in Zooked, and we'll basically have to go to another project unless we do something fancy like you guys are describing to make it seem in search like the docs are part of that project. But then I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it. It just seems like also then they'll think that they like clone the repository, the docs are in there, and then they're not actually. And I don't know if that stuff's an issue. I'm just wondering if that would be confusing. But I wonder if we can tweak Elastic even without like embeddings to get what Dimitri is describing, like to solve this problem, because we ought to be able to do. If right now the query for wikis is requiring a like exact phrase match only, we can definitely update that query to use or a Boolean query with an and an or what we try to do with if we ever are able to optimize the multi-match query or the multiple Boolean queries, we can do that too, and that should solve it. But it doesn't solve the regex problem if we think that's like actually the more significant issue.
I mean, the analyzer being used as the code analyzer, I can't remember if that's where we use everywhere. Maybe.
I thought we did update to use that everywhere, Dimitri, didn't we? Because there were code snippets and issues and stuff a lot of times, and so we did start using the code analyzer for that. Is that right?
Yeah, I see
Maybe
that
not for
now.
wikis. I don't
Oh,
remember.
okay.
Wikis has the code analyzer for
Oh.
content. I'm looking
It
at the
does.
config in a different window. Yeah, I was just trying to look to see what was there. But I'm glad they raised it. I mean, what's a little bit of a shame is that like we do not use wikis in the GitLab org repo, so we're a little blind to a lot of these issues that people are running into.
Mhm.
But I guess I try to think about how much I am frustrated by the handbook search because I feel like people have the same frustration if they can't find stuff in their wikis, which is essentially like a handbook.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the
Does GitLab handbook does not use GitLab wikis, right? At all. It's a
No,
whole
it uses-
different thing.
It's a whole
No,
different
it's
thing. They
some
use
yeah.
Algolia for
Yeah.
search, and it's not tied to. It's they use Algolia. It's just like a third-party search provider. Basically, they do a lot of website search.
Yeah.
So
By the
what
way,
I guess
on
go ahead.
Monday, we chatted about maybe adding documentation as one of our search scopes. So indexing the GitLab documentation and having that search through advanced search. It was just a random idea we threw out there, but it might be something we can do.
I love that idea. That's like really good for Elasticsearch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
and
kinda
documentation
thinking we should
isn't
do that.
a like super massive thing, so yeah.
Yeah, so I guess it's gonna be really expensive.
Mm.
Well, no, it shouldn't be because the docs are only like 140 megs or 180 megs, John. So I think it'll be cheap.
Oh, but would this would just be for GitLab? This would not be for other.
Yeah,
Oh,
just the
okay.
GitLab docs.
Oh, okay. It's not. It does. The feature doesn't extend to other customers or something like that, where they could point to documentation somewhere.
No, I don't think so.
Got it.
Because the one like people are wanting to be able to use Docs Chat and like Duo, and they're using the Vertex AI search for that currently because that's what Docs uses for search. I'm not sure why we use Vertex for that and Algolia for the handbook, but I guess it's a different story.
Okay, so where do we want to leave this? Because I want to make sure we have time to hit the other items that are on here. And I see a demo at the bottom. So what are we deciding? Keeping back of mind?
I think we
I
can
think so.
keep it. Yeah, I think we can keep it in the backlog for sure. I think Dimitri is right that bigger namespaces and things are a higher priority right now. I see this as an issue that may come up like after people are using Zook for a while and are like, it would be really great to search wikis or something like that. You know what I mean? As opposed to prioritizing this above the namespace work. You know, we want the big namespaces to be able to use Zook, period. So I think that makes sense to prioritize that stuff or keep that stuff prioritized.
Yeah. Okay, so that sounds good. I'll leave like very brief notes here. CZ is not here, but we said last time, which I completely forgot about, that we were going to try synced retro. I left some async comments, but I'm happy to make them. I saw Maddie left them as well. I'm happy to discuss them here. So why don't we start with this thing? Ben, did you get your thing sorted? Was it SAML?
I don't know. It's not getting me a login page, and when I remove the URL, like the URL slugs to just get back down to the root, like it's GitLab.com, it's taking me straight in. I don't know what the problem is.
I don't know.
I'm definitely logged in, but
I'm sorry, I don't know. We can look at it after if you want to hang out to see if we can get it fixed up. But
I don't know. It's
Maddie,
so
did
weird.
you want to
Am I not in
verbalize?
the group? Maybe I'm not in the
Oh,
group.
that's what I was like. There's a separate SAML login for whatever group this thing is in.
Oh, okay. Well, I
The
don't. I'm not
GitLab
gonna,
com one. I don't know how you log into it, maybe through Okta.
I don't know. I'll try signing out and signing in with a different account. There's a little link to do that. Okay, anyway, go on. I'll figure
Okay,
it out.
no worries. All right, Maddie, did you want to verbalize your retro comment?
Yeah, sure thing. Just well done to Dimitri for winning the efficiency award, and thank you. And then +3 and bow. Cool.
Thank you.
Awesome. And then I guess this is our first time doing a sync one. I think if folks have items that aren't in this one, we can just put them in the document and adjust them that way, because I don't know. I can go through CZ's. He's noted, not specific to this release, that we have a lot of issues without description. And I think he's mentioning if you create issues that don't have descriptions, that whoever picks the issue up, just take the few minutes to fill out what it's supposed to be. I think this will be helpful for reviewers, as well as trying to figure out like what is being done for an issue. So Maddie, you have an item?
Yeah, just one thing that didn't go well for this release for me personally was the pipeline instability. Just pipelines failing all the time, retrying, rebasing. It adds a lot of overhead. So I don't know what we can do to remove that for other teams and ourselves. But the one thing that someone suggested was that if you have a failing pipeline and you retry it, do not merge it if the retry spec is from your team, because then it means that our team has a flaky test. So, I mean, we can create issues for that and work on that, but I think the only thing we can do is try to not cause flaky specs. But I'm open to any other suggestions, anything else that we can try to, yeah, keep the pipeline stable.
I'll definitely try to keep an eye on that. There used to be like a flaky spec failure that was yellow, and I would try to remember to check it, because that can indicate that you're like introducing a flaky spec. But I didn't think about the ones that are like belong to us and then they fail, but maybe not related to the code that you're in. So
Yeah.
I don't have any other ideas. I've been struggling with the pipelines myself. Maybe pipelines staying in the created state. I just had another one where I think you approved and set my MR to merge, and the pipeline's been created for 3 hours. The
Have
only
you
thing I
guys
can
noticed the
okay.
pipeline levels? I think they are trying something new. It might be
Yeah.
a reason why it was so wonky last milestone, because now the pipeline has the levels and it has to go through 3 levels and before you can merge it. Have you
I've been
noticed that?
struggling with trying to get used to that too. It has to be a tier 3 pipeline before it can be added to the merge train. So yeah, I don't know. I was very confused at first, even though I did read through the messaging.
Is it to make it speedier? Like you make them go faster? Because like the first tier is only like the quickest pipeline or not complete, and then the second one is more complete, and third one is more like even more.
I
Something like
think
that.
that they're just surfacing what's happening to us more. I'm not sure how much changed in the background, but maybe. I think it's also related to the merge train pipeline, which is like a faster one at the end that says, hey, you had a tier 3 that was passed. It was within 8 hours. And it was a merged pipeline and not just like one on your local, not with a merged master branch. And then in that case, it should merge faster. But I agree with you. I've been seeing some instability in that, and then also was very confused about the order of things. There is a feedback issue. If someone needs it and you can't find it, post in our channel. I know I commented on it, so I can probably help you find it. Okay. I left one. This is more general, is really not actually geared towards our team, because I think I mentioned it in one of the other backend maintainer channels. I just noticed a lot of the follow-up issues don't have titles changed from follow-up, and it's really just an overall problem. But if you create a follow-up issue, at least like change the title and add our team labels, I think that'll just help us to schedule it. because otherwise they kind of just go into the void, especially if they don't have our team labels, and then the work like will never get done. And I feel like if you've gone through like creating a follow-up, you want the work to get done. Otherwise you just would have, resolved it and kept going. And then Ravi, you have the next item.
Yeah, it's about to write better MR descriptions, like detailed what the MR is doing and why we did, and the steps to reproduce locally. A lot of time I think we miss to write, but we should try to do more as possible.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I've noticed that like when I send stuff to people outside of our team, if I haven't been good about that, I can tell because then they'll ask me questions about how do I verify this. I even think when I fixed the spec and the person was like, the spec didn't run. And I was like, oh yeah, you have to enable Elasticsearch in GDK, otherwise the spec doesn't run. Oh, so I think that's a really good idea. So we can kind of work on that. And then I just thought we did a good job. So I said we all did a good job of consistently weighting our issues at the team meeting. So if we continue to do that, we should have some nice reports and a few milestones to see how many. I just love fake points and I want to see how many points we do. So
I can show you.
I literally track stuff for no reason just because I love fake points. So
I have the dashboard up, Terry, actually.
okay. Do you want to see it? I
Yeah,
want
you
to
guys
see
can
it.
see this one. This is the only milestone where we
I've
have
relinquished the sharing, so okay.
we did too much because all of our milestones are basically like on point, I would say. Like we have, we have like this one 17.0, we did like almost exactly what we committed to. This one 17.1 was not as good, but we got a lot of points completed. So like I think the only takeaway here is be mindful of how much weight total weight we have in the milestone, because 113 is like, I think too much since we did 56. I think 56 is a good amount, to be clear. Just, I think we would have this is kind of the good reason to track this stuff, is we can have a better sense of like what's reasonable, like now we know when 100 points is like way too much. So we needed to cut scope, but.
That is cool. I did not know we had that, so.
Yeah,
thank you
Jeff
for sharing.
Tucker made one that showed issue burn up, and I just modified it to show the weight, now that we're waiting, and created a dashboard for us. So I can put the link to this in the agenda if anyone wants to. I would put it in the retro issue, but I can't access it. So I don't know why. I can see the project. I'm pretty sure, Terry,
Maybe
if you
CZ just needs to add something.
I think he just
don't
needs to
know.
make me developer, because like if you look in the project, or anybody looks in there and you see like that there should be like 3 issues now for you all, and see that there's a test issue for me that I created via email. But I think because you're looking at a confidential issue, I can't see it because I bet I'm not developer.
Okay, we'll ask CZ.
Yeah, I think we see that. It's not a big deal for now, obviously.
No, but I think we want everyone to be able to contribute to the retros. So even if we do them sync, which is fine. Okay, I didn't see any more items in there, so we can go to the thing that I left in here. I just wanted to get a feeling for how we might improve the reindex for the main index, and maybe just overall. Indexing was paused for over 2.5 days. And that's how long it took to get the reindex process done. I think it's too long. So we have discussed, and I think, Dimitri, we talk about creating maybe a separate issue, which this is to say 0 downtime reindexing should only pause the indexes specified. I feel like we should look at prioritizing this in the next 3 to 5 milestones. And maybe if we create another issue that is like to actually implement the pausing of specific indices, and then this issue could be 0 downtime reindexing can use that. Yeah, I'm just worried we're gonna have teams add like vulnerabilities, other things to Elastic. We can't just keep pausing all indexing to do maintenance on one. So that's one
I think it'll
item.
probably help
Yeah.
It helped during incidents too.
Yeah, I think so. It's just, I, s- I think Dimitri also suggested, we're kind of like flying blind about what we can tweak because once we're in it and we can't adjust. So now that we have the ability to create test clusters a little bit easier, it might behoove us. I guess I can create an issue for this. To test out reindexing settings against a test cluster to see what's faster and what's slower. It's just unfortunate because maybe we could use Rally or something to simulate searches at the same time. Like, I don't know. I think the searching happening at the same time is what is making things, I think it's a multitude of things. We let the shards get too big. We waited too long. The index is 12 bytes with 24 with all the replicas. It's just like all of the things that we let happen, it made it really slow. I will say it finished and we got did we get 4 bytes back? It's at 20. It was at 24 before, and now we're at 20. So we saved on some space.
So that's 20%. That's what they told us.
Don't tell them they were right. They're gonna be so happy they were right. Yeah. So we got about 20% of our space back, I guess. And our average shard size is about 34 in the main index. So we have a little bit of room, but I don't want to wait until we're at 60 something again. We'll see. So I'll create an issue for this and maybe we can look at doing some testing. And then I also had an idea about maybe we could look at implementing adaptive throttling, because that's one thing that stinks. If the system isn't failing, there's no way for us to add more slices running. So maybe we could look at doing adaptive throttling that says, oh, set the max slices to 60, but it can start taking them off if we start seeing task failures. Does anyone have any other ideas? Yes.
I know on just when I've set up clusters in the past and talking to the guys for pricing, the Elastic guys for pricing, like CPU can be have a big impact on indexing, especially when it comes to supporting the reindexing while we're doing reads and like everything's happening at the same time. Like I think that helps with throughput. But we have like 180 virtual CPUs or something. I don't know. Like our general CPU usage from looking at the logs with them is like very low, except for occasional spikes. But I don't know what it looks like, Terry. Like when you're running the reindexing, maybe it's running at like 80%, or maybe it's low and we wouldn't get anything from doing that.
I did not look, but I can go look. I was
Yeah.
looking at the size of the new index to see how far along it was and just to make sure we weren't seeing any like search latency. But I can look and see if there's anything that jumps out. I mean, I scaled that thing up though. It was at like 15
Okay.
nodes. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
because we needed the disk space.
Mhm.
But I'll look. I mean, maybe we can definitely look at, and that's something that to look at too when if we do testing against like simulated cluster data, what impact it has on the CPU and the settings. So,
Yeah.
okay. Note on the issue I created above. So I'll just assume this to myself too, so I don't forget. Okay, John, you have the next item?
Yeah, I think the security backward process can be kind of difficult. I tripped up on this in a few different areas. The documentation, I think it's iterated on quite a bit, and so it's easy to miss things. And so I feel like one thing that we could do better is like that's easy maybe is just add an additional reviewer and just to check like, hey, do I have all my T's crossed and my I's dotted? I think this almost Dimitri, I see your comment, thank you. Like this almost missed the 17.0 release because like there's this weird time frame of which the security release branch is created, and there's like a rush to get everything done, where you have to make sure one of your MRs is based off of that feature branch. And if you miss that, none of the backports will get merged and as part of the process. Does anybody have anything to add to that? I feel like I'm probably not explaining this well enough.
Oh, I know your
Okay.
pain. I
Yeah,
know
I
your
think
pain.
everyone does.
Yeah.
I don't have a good answer. Yeah, I mean, I think
I think
I
so.
know it leaves a
Somebody else is
note
doing
when,
backports.
yeah, it
Was
leaves
it
a note,
Robbie?
right? Yeah, Ravi, you
It
have
does
one.
leave a note.
Yeah, but
but we
that
didn't
note,
get
like,
that.
it's like lost into the void sometimes.
It's lost into the void, and it was also really delayed. Like for me, I thought when everything was assigned to the GitLab bot, I thought, okay, we're done. Like this can go on the shelf. And so it was kind of a surprise for me to get a message from the bot, like right before everything's gonna get merged, that we didn't have everything on the newly created stable branch.
In my case, I was getting message quite early. For example, I assigned to bot, and I think within 30 minutes or 1 hour, I got message from the bot that it's unassigned. There's some checklist you need to complete. So like
Mhm.
30 minutes, I got unassigned. The bot got unassigned, and I got the message.
Yeah, and it does a pretty good job at the lower level of like a singular MR.
Yeah, I think
Where
it's when you
it
have the 3 MRs and you're supposed to have 4 and you're missing that 4th one. So you have like the master
three
branch.
backports.
Yeah, you have master
Yeah.
branch and you're, let's say we're in 17.1, you have master 17.06.
17.0.
17, yeah, and then 16.9. And then at some point you will have a 17.1 stable branch that gets created that it needs to be backported to. I
Right,
think that's
that
like,
piece right
that's
there.
the piece that I'm always like terrified to miss. Because
Right.
it's not just you. I was reviewing one for another team and the person was like, hey, I missed the thing. I had to close this one and open up a new one because they had now, their branches were all off by 1. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I that was a little bit of a surprise for me this go round. Because like I think we were reporting to Nick, say, hey, like everything's good. This is gonna get merged. And it was not good. And I felt a little surprised by that. So
Yeah, I think
maybe
that bot should
maybe
really
like
yell at you more if
the
it's
bot
missing.
should yell at you more. Yeah, I put that comment down. Like maybe the
Okay.
bot could yell at you and say, hey, FYI, you need to make sure you have a stable branch, or like there's a label or something that says like pending stable branch. Because there's a larger window where the MR is not applicable anymore, right? Where the like the backport has already been released, and so you have all these backports lined up ready to go, but the stable branch is still pending. So during that time, I think there could be some type of label or signifier that says like, hey, this is not, all of these MRs that you just made may look good to the bot, but you're not done yet. Like you still have to wait for the stable branch to be created, and make sure you fit everything within that time window once it is created. So anyway, I think maybe we could ask for the bot to be like, make a feature request for the bot, or we could ask for additional review. That's 2 corrective actions.
Yeah, I think if you are a maintainer review on that thing, if you are reviewing them, maybe just check that all of the, and I'll be honest, I haven't done this, but it's a good comment just to check that all of the stable branches are like all the MRs are created, and like leave a note to the author, hey, you need these MR, like just in case, because I feel like that security process is, I haven't talked to one person or heard one person be like, this is really not confusing. So maybe that like,
Yeah.
like if you are reviewing it, it's like a nice to do. for whoever you're
Yeah.
reviewing for. Like, hey,
Yeah,
these are the staple branches you're gonna need. If this one's not you'll need 4 MRs. You need this one and the 3 behind it, and just so
Right.
FYI. And if they already know, then no harm done. And if not, then you've helped someone.
Right. And just to remember to go up a level, we might be reviewing a singular MR, but to remember to go up a level and look at the security issue, make sure the security issue is good.
Yeah.
Maybe
the
one more
security.
piece of advice is that you can check out the security issue you're targeting, and it lists all the versions of GitLab we're going to release. So I think we shouldn't create a Mars for master and 3 versions behind. We should target the versions listed in the security issue. Then we would have a missing MR for one of the versions, and that would be pretty obvious even without the bot.
Mm.
That makes sense.
Okay, that's a read only. CZ is asked, so I think there's been messages across everywhere, but there's an engagement survey and the due date is tomorrow. So everyone, please take the time to go through it. I already did it, it was pretty quick. But I think this happens every time at the end. There's a bunch of people that do it the last day. And I'm not going to say I did mine early because that will be a lie because I'm a habitual procrastinator. So I will just encourage everyone to try to get it done by tomorrow because I'm pretty sure that's the last day. Okay, Ravi, you have the next item.
Yes, so I have created this issue, which is regarding the wrong number of counts for the code search. It's about Elastic. It's about actually Elastic Basic and Zooked as well. So I put some description and screenshots on the issue. And the question is, how should we prioritize this issue, or should we do we really need to work on this? Because for Zooked, it will be taken care by the multi-match which I'm doing. The Zooked will be fixed there, but for the advanced search and basic search, the count is still wrong.
I guess. Was it ever right?
I'm also thinking it's like, was it from starting like this, or just it?
I mean, I know we have some caching in place, and I'm not sure if maybe that's impacting this count. But the one thing inside the HAML, that's weird.
I think one potential problem with advanced search is that we rely on these counts for pagination. If we change how we show these counts, it would mess up pagination. We
Okay.
would see some weird results, like you have 25 matches on the first page when you only requested 20.
So this is the one file result. Like, no, it's one found
Yes.
blob class.
I think for advanced search, it's one file. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we showed only the first kind of
Yes.
section of the file that matched.
We had an issue to also expose the number of matches, like when you're looking at it, you have like one file, and then maybe that might be.
I think ideally we would do like in this case, I guess we do like on the top one, or either one, I guess, like 4 matches in N files. You know what I mean? Because we're chunking them now. So like one file result will have multiple chunks in it potentially, where like if Lucky was on, lines, also lines 12 through 15, it would show that chunk next to, like, right below the other chunk. And so then we could say, 8 results in one file, and then
Yeah,
if
I
there
think
was a,
currently it is just counting the chunks, I think. For example, one is just the number of chunks, and like the highlighted, the yellow section is one chunk, which is just one, and that's one chunk. So I think currently we are just showing the number of chunks found.
I think it's actually just the number, I thought it was just the number of files.
I think so. I think Elasticsearch only shows you the first match from the file. So that's essentially the number of files.
Okay, so yeah,
Maybe you can double
Yeah.
check.
Yeah, I mean, like we put as far if I remember, like we put the little highlighty tag things with the little arrows around stuff, and then that's what's used to determine what lights up. But we only give it like 3 to 5 lines from the file. I think we find like the first highlight line, and then build this piece that you're seeing up from that. Oh,
okay.
I
Yeah,
think
maybe.
if we're not gonna count matches yet, and I think we should count matches in the future, if we're not gonna do it right now, I think we should say showing five, like be specific and say like we're showing 5 files.
Yeah. I
Because if
think
we
that makes
show
sense.
3 matches, but they're, I don't know, I think it'll just get the chunk and match will get confusing and people won't know what we're talking about. If we just say the files, then I think that'll at least be straightforward.
Yeah. And the scope count on the sidebar reflects the file matches,
Yeah.
not the chunk matches.
I don't know, that's a good question.
oh no, it does. It's the number of I'm
Files.
pretty sure it's the number of documents that matched, basically, if you
Yeah.
think about
Okay.
it in Elasticsearch terms.
Okay.
I would be really confused if the sidebar, if I only have like one README file and the code little badge there says like it has 100 matches. I would be kind of confused.
I just realized that we forgot about counts in our new multi-match API.
For the matches, you mean, Dimitri, or just counts total?
So counts for the sidebar.
Oh, gotcha.
So that will be the total count, right, in the sidebar? Like
Yeah,
the
I believe so.
counts, okay.
Maybe it can be an argument when we hide maybe all the chunks, but only show the counts or something.
But I'm sorry, the sidebar is requesting the counts completely separate from everything. There's like API just for the count that returns this number.
We might just have a mismatch then because we're switching to using chunks. So then we would use number of matches, but we have chunks. It might become weird.
But in the response, we will in the multi-match response, we will include the total number of n-gram matches as well. So that can be used to show in the sidebar. To show the
Oh, we
count.
are showing the total n-gram matches, Ravi, we can do that?
Yeah, in the response, there will be total number
Okay.
of matches.
So, yeah.
I will show you later.
Yeah, I think if we can do that, then we should say showing, you know, n-gram matches in X number of files for whatever your search term is. And then I think the scope should show, or the sidebar should show probably the number of documents that matched versus like, if you think about other scopes, right? Like we don't show in issues, like an issue might have 7 matches for your search term, and we don't show the absolute number of counts of times we found the term in across all issues. We show the number of issues, right?
By the way, we are almost out of time, and I hope that we can cover Ravi's demo.
Oh yeah, let's do that. Let's jump there, and then Ravi, we can talk more about this.
I think that's related to this discussion, so I think I can show the
Okay,
demo.
yeah, perfect. Okay, I'll let you share. Let me stop sharing.
I will share my screen. So, you see my browser?
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is the GraphQL API for the multi-match. I think I will not go through the code to show that how the GraphQL is implemented, but rather than we will just discuss about the API and the response here. So here we have some arguments, like this is a search term, this is the group ID, and this is the project ID where we want to do search. And then all these are the fields which we want to request from the GraphQL response. And let's check this response one by one. For example, here I was talking about the match count. This is the total number of count for this search term zooped in this project ID 7. So it is at the top level. And then this file count is the total number of files where this zoop term found. We can see here. So here we have 3 files, and this is just like a metadata search type and search level, this project. And let's check first file. For example, this is the first file, zooptest.rb. I have opened this file somewhere here, zooptest.rb. Yeah, this is the file, and here we have one match which is zooped here, and we can see that match count total is 1 and match count is 1. And the difference between match count and match count total is match count total is the total number of n-gram matches in that file, and match count is the total number of matches which you will get for this request, because here it has limited chunks. So let's say it has 100 total match count, but if you are getting only 3 chunks, so this match count will be the total number of matches in those 3 chunks. So here we are getting just 1 chunk, and let's say this line number, here we have zoop test line number 1, and for now I'm just wrapping the search term with the B tag, the bold tag. And then line number 2 is the context line. We can change this context line. Right now I just put 1, so 1 line after and before we will show. So this is the for this file. But let's check the another file. This is a little bit long. Let's first check this zoop test, and this zoop test is here. Yeah, here it has some matches, and it has, yeah, here again match count total is 6 and match count is 6, and it has 2 chunks. So all that means all the, because this file is small, so all the chunks are included in the result. And we can see one by one this, for example, this line number 1 1 2 3. So here we have 1 2 and 3 is the context line which we will show. So it doesn't have match, but as a context it's returning the response. And then the second chunk is line number 4 5 6 7 8 9. So 4 is because it's a context line. Again, the above line of this match, 5 is the match and 4 is the context line. 6 is the context line, that's why it's also in the response. And then 7 is the match, 8 is the match, and 9 is the context line. So 6 7 8 9, and all these are the new lines. So like, for example, 6 is just an empty line, so here it will be just a blank like this, and the 7 8 9. And also it has an HTML tag somewhere here, div, and this is getting escaped here. We can see the div tag is escaped. Is it the div tag? Line number 8, line number, no, not line number 8, line number 5.
I think it's up a few lines. Yeah, I see it in
So
the
here,
line number 5. Yeah.
it's escaped, the HTML tag escaped. Okay, this was also simple line, but I added one real code from our repository, which is this zooked-index.rb. This is also in the result. Zooked-index.rb is the file, this one. So here match count total is 24, but the match count is different, 12, because we are currently returning, I think, only 3 chunks maybe. Yeah, so by default it's returning 3 chunks, and in these 3 chunks there are only 12 counts, but the total count in this file is 24, but for this response it's 12. And we can check.
Robbie,
Yeah.
can I ask you just a question? Because I'm a little confused. What is the difference between a match and a chunk?
Match as a so chunk here I will show you. It's, let's say, this is one, this I think so in source graph I can show better, but the chunk is, let's say you have line number 5 is the match, and 4 and 6 is just a context line. So 4 5 6, line number 4 5 6 is combined as one chunk. Is it
Okay.
Can we go back to the GraphQL output?
Yeah.
So if you expand the lines for that matches and count, you have, we searched for, what do we search for? Zooped?
Yeah, zooped,
So you
yeah.
have two matches and then
In one
like
chunk.
like in one chunk, and then you have three context lines that don't have matches on them. Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we
Okay.
can see. Yeah. So match count in chunk is 2, and let's open.
Mhm.
Here, this is just a context line, 3, and here is one match, 1.
So
Okay.
is the match count total the total number of lines?
Match count total is the total number of matches in that file.
Matches.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like total all matches. So it doesn't count
Could-
any, it doesn't respect any chunk. So it just counts all possible matches in
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
So that will
Would
be
it
the
be possible? Could you
Oh,
show
and
us the test results? You know, one of your files in this example has like test. Um,
let me check because I have
sorry,
a very
just
bad
one
example of
second.
test. Yeah, yeah,
there. Ooh,
this I have created one test.
my.
Uh, and this is I have to check
That's a
this.
torture test.
Yeah.
We should do those because if we're using any sort of regular expressions, we don't want to introduce any sort of security
Yeah,
bugs. I just found another
So,
one.
yeah, I
but
have
like
to.
the one
I don't know
underneath,
why.
like does
Yeah, for this test, I
go
have to
ahead.
check what Zook is sending because I was expecting the B tag should wrap for each text, but for some reason it's not happening. I will check what's the
Maybe because there's no like if you put something that's not a match in between them, like if you put like a period or something, it would
inside the file. Okay.
let yeah. So if you did like test, and then you put like foo,
Yeah,
it
for
might
example,
put
here there's a test space test. So it is wrapped
a
by the
space. Yeah, yeah.
again, this is one word test and it is wrapped as a single word. I was expecting
Okay,
that like a 2B tag here, but it's not happening.
right. You can actually see in this there's like test, and like it wraps that differently. But so for this chunk, how many matches is there a thing in this JSON object that shows us how many matches for that chunk?
Yeah, so match count in chunk is
Oh, okay, 2004.
Oh,
but yeah, and match
Okay.
chunk. So in this chunk, there are 2004 matches and lines. Okay, let's say one line here. This is just empty. And oh, this is still okay. Oh, these are I think okay, test is still there, that's why. And there's a test.
Okay.
Just here is it. Test.
So the matches in chunk, like
So
we would just display that in the UI somewhere where
yeah,
it
so
would be
that
like,
means
hey,
it's counting one test as one count, but it's not highlighting as a separate one. It's just doing the wrap up.
yeah, but I think that's okay. I
That's
like
okay.
as far as the UI is concerned, I think that's okay.
Yeah, I think that's
Like,
okay.
and it handled it better in the ones with spaces. Like there were some with spaces that had test and some that just had test, and it did that perfectly.
Yeah, I think because there's a no space, so it's like a zero space. That's why it's just wrapped as a one word. Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you put like a period or something without a space, I'm curious what that would look like. Or some kind of delimiter, like a comma.
Yeah,
I'm
I
curious.
can check later, but now I think it's difficult. And also I want to show
Yeah.
parameter. Here we have, I can send, what was that, chunk count. And that way the front end can control how many chunks they want. So I was thinking maybe in the first call they can get 50 and then they can show
I think you're
3.
missing a comma. Oh, it doesn't matter. You're missing a comma. File.
So now this is the max. This is the chunk, the maximum chunk which we can return. So if you remember the previous one where there was a less. Oh, this is test. Let's search for the Zooked again. So not this file, but yeah, this file here. Now the match count and match count total is same, but before it was not same. It was 12
Oh,
because
that
now
was my question. So like this is how much the total is like total
in that
found
file,
completely in the file, regardless of what the front end was sent back.
yes.
Oh, okay.
And now since the chunk count is 50, so it's including all the chunks. Before I think it was just 3 chunk, but now it has more. So that's why the total is same match count and match count total. So yeah, now it has much more chunks, all the chunks. So yes, this is it. And I think it's enough for now. And of course, if Thomas has some more question, we can work on it. Any
I think this
questions?
is really,
not
really
yet.
cool, Robbie. Good
Yeah.
work, man. So
It is
cool.
awesome.
Yeah, like
Well
I feel
said.
like Tomash, for our UI, can we change the highlight so like it actually shows the individual matches instead of one big line? Is that the
For
plan?
the test, the 2000 tests.
I think
You mean?
that's maybe
Yeah,
Or you
like when
mean
there's
like
like
wherever we have like just a highlighted one term, like yeah, like what the Ravi just highlighted in there. Yeah, yeah, I'm planning on that. Yeah, that we just highlight the actual results.
yeah,
The
that's
matches.
cool. That's really cool. That'll be really nice because you know, I don't know if there's a bunch of text, like if it's like sometimes there could be like one line with a ton of text, like if somebody does something, dumps something to a file and you have to like scroll horizontally to find it, it'd be nice to have this type of markup.
We've had multiple API drafts, and I'm pretty happy with the result.
Yeah, kudos,
too.
Robbie. This is really cool.
I think I will stop sharing for now.
Well, I'll share really quick. I know we're a little bit over,
Yes.
but Dimitri,
And
Dimitri, you had the last one if you wanna. Oh,
I
you said,
think
so you
it
just
might be
moved to the next
better.
meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. We'll move the meeting discussion to the next meeting. Sounds good. All right, I think that's it then. I will stop recording really quick.
okay.